also it's very related to our subject of Hitbodedut, talking to Hashem in our own words. So we'll start read a little bit from the Sefer, and then we'll talk about what's going on in the world right now. So we mamash just started last time the beginning of this second Torah in Hishtapchut and HaNefesh. Oh, we have this farm, Aaron. When you come to there, there's the Hishtapchut and HaNefesh is sitting over. Is by the is over there. This the smallest part of the word. Oh, shalom guys, how are you? We're just getting started.
What's up, guys?
How are you? So what do you want to say from here? We're in the second Torah of Hishtapchut and HaNefesh, which in this one it's going to be on page Nun Dalet.
I think I asked you for one of these, right?
Yes, this one's for you.
Oh, this is like my personal copy?
No, you can use it for now.
Okay. Usually they're like 30 shekels, right?
I don't know, the Kirsten button.
Okay.
So Nachman says, Hitbodedut is the highest thing. It's above everything else. It's very, very, very important. And just as a simple idea, we have a lot of other things we want to do in life. Nachman says we want to serve Hashem, we need to make a parnasa, we need to find a shidduch. There's a lot of things going on in our lives, but there's a problem. Because the problem is stopping us from getting what we want. And the problem is that we're not connected to Hashem. It's very simple. For any of these things to go smoothly, obviously serving Hashem, if we want to really serve Hashem, we have to be close to Him. We have to be connected to Him. And then everything, in Gashmis, in the physical world also, it comes through our connection with Hashem. It's the source of everything. So if we have this solid connection with Hashem, we're feeling close to Hashem, and our heart is open to receiving from Hashem, so then everything comes in our life smoothly. And if not, so then we have some hiccups. So Nachman starts this Torah by saying it's the Ma'al Elyon Minakol. It's the highest thing. It's the highest thing. It's the most important thing we can do out of all the things we do throughout our day, because it's the source of our hatzlacha, of our success, and everything else that we're going to do. And what's going on right now in the world, with what happened in Meron. So a lot of people are struggling to get out of bed in the morning. They're struggling to put on tefillin and daven. We have questions in our heart. How could we for what's going on? Because we don't understand. We don't understand what's going on in the world. How could such a thing happen? And there's different approaches, and we're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about the different meanings of these things and try how we're supposed to deal with it. But the overall approach, the main thing is we have to go to Baruch Baruch Hu and talk to Him about it. Because Hashem, I don't understand what's going on. Like Lag BaOmer is like the biggest day of the whole year. It's according to the Zohar and in Chassidus, Lag BaOmer is the biggest light of the whole year. It's all this gates of Shemayim are open. It's an incredible celebration. The Arizal, they made it like a Yom Tov. Singing and dancing and eating like a Yom Tov student and drinking wine. And there's a Arizal. What is Arizal? He's the Vekas of Hashem and Torah and Tefillah. He comes to this day. He made a suda with his family. Went to Meron, made a suda with his family. He's drinking and he's making like a Yom Tov. He's celebrating. This is like one of the biggest celebrations, and all of a sudden. So, we don't in our mind, how can we go about our day? How can we go about our lives without talking to Hashem about this? Without having a conversation with the Kodesh Baruch Hu. So we can treat it like, you're saying that the Goyim are making a big deal about it. And the Frayid and the secular Jews also, they're making big news. And we can treat it, if we treat it like that, it's going to be very painful for us. Because then it's just a random occurrence. That or they can blame it on this and blame it on that, blame it on this, this situation and that situation and this reason and that, and it's going to be very, very hard because that's not going to comfort us, and it's not going to answer any of our questions. It's going to be very, very painful for us if we deal with it like that. So really, the healing process and a way for us to really, really deal with this situation. And this situation is not, I mean, it's very extreme. It's something that affects all of Klal Yisrael, affects the whole world. But on the same level, we have issues in our life, personal issues that happen to us, things, difficult things that we're going through all the time. And if we're not working these things out with the source of all of these issues, so then we're gonna have a hard time. It's gonna be like, the machine's not getting the oil that it needs to run smoothly. And it's going to be very hard, especially when it comes to Avodas Hashem. How can we serve Hashem? We have questions. We don't understand why is my life so difficult? We had Corona, and now we have this, and then that's on top of all the personal issues we're going through. How do we deal with all this? Where do we have the kelim? Where do we have the capability to handle everything that we're going through? It's really intense. It's a lot. It's too much for us to do. It's too much for the carry. I can't carry this load. It's too great for me to carry. Who's going to help me carry it? Go to a therapist. Probably not going to help so much. Could be, maybe. If they're very enlightened, they'll be able to find some amazing answers. But at the end of the day, a therapist, they're only human being. They do their best. They're trained to try to treat an individual for what they're going through. But they don't really understand us on the deepest level. They don't really understand the suffering we're going through. They don't understand how hard it is for us to deal with what just happened. And at the end of the day, they have a time limit. We have to pay the money. There's a lot of limitations. We have friends, and it's for sure Kadai. It's for sure worthwhile to talk to our friends. And this is part of getting through life is having friends and talk to them. But again, there's certain limitations. Human being has limitations. Our parents have limitations. Every person they're not able to completely understand us and have unlimited compassion for us in a way that Hashem can. It's the only person, so to speak, the only thing in the world that can really help us deal with our suffering on the deepest level and heal us completely is Hashem. So this is the main thing for us right now. This is how we sort everything out in our life. Whatever we're going through, we talk to Hashem. And we also dive into Hashem and ask Him to help us. There's two aspects of this relationship. These brothers. This one is just having a friendship. Rabbi Nachman said, Hashem is your friend. He's your friend. You can talk to Him like a really good friend. It's a pretty crazy thing.
Yeah, we were just learning about Shiur of Facha.
Shiur of Facha. So
where does that fit in with the friendship?
Right. So the main fear of Hashem is the realization that He's right here. He's right here. He's not somewhere in the palace up in the skies like a king, where there is an aspect of Hashem being in the palace in the skies like a king, but there's also an aspect of Him being right here down on earth. When is He right here down on earth? When I make Him my friend. He's right here, He's sitting right across from me, where I am right now. This is Breslov of Yerushalayim. It really is Yerushalayim for the whole Torah. But Rabbi Nachman brings out this point that true Yerushalayim is this awareness of Hashem's presence. It's right there with you. You're not going to do a sin. Hashem's sitting right across from you. He's watching. He's like, when a person does an Aveira, is when he thinks like, nobody's watching me. Hashem's somewhere else. He doesn't care about me. I've fallen so far that it doesn't matter what I do anymore. Kodesh Baruch Hu is not watching me closely. He doesn't really see what's going on. So what does it matter? When Hashem is your friend, you talk like your friend, He's really close to you, so then, I'm going to do my best to treat Him with respect and do what He wants. He's a good friend, and He can help us. We can talk to Him, we can ask Him for help. Just a good friend. We talk to a friend, and we ask Him for help. And this friend, He's able to give us the help that we need. He's able to, whatever the help is, emotional help, it's even physical help. We need help, with making a living. We need help finding a dira, finding an apartment. We need help with whatever it is we're going through. His friend, he's got all the connections. So that's what Rabbi Nachman says. Hitbodedut, Himayla, Gedola, Yon, This is the highest and most important thing we can do in our lives, is to spend some time every day talking to Kodesh Baruch Hu. So Nachman explains what is Hisbodedut, and Nikboil loy al kaponim sho or yoser Hisbodedut levadoy ve'ezeh cheder oy v'sadei. So we set a certain amount of time, it's an hour or more, to isolate yourself. Hisbodedut means to isolate yourself in a room or in a field. And to talk out everything you have to talk out between you and Hashem. These are all different expressions of how we talk to Hashem. Sometimes we're pleading with Hashem, we're begging Hashem to help us with something that we're going through. Sometimes we're asking for Him. Sometimes we even demand for Hashem, not from a place of arrogance that we but we're saying, Hashem, I really need help with this, and I can't do it without you. I really need you to come through and give me support. There's a certain aspect of a certain strength and courage that we have in these tefillas sometimes. The vakish l'schan in the front of His baruch to plead with Hashem. She karvei love that she bring us close to serving Him. But that's the main thing. At the end of the day, that's the main thing. When we're able to serve Hashem and we're being able to be close to Him. Sure, come sit down.
Here.
No, come sit close. We don't want to be sitting so far.
You can hear so good.
So that's the main thing is serving Hashem. When everything is good in ruchnis, in our spiritual life, in our spiritual work, so then things work out also in Gashmius. It's all one system. You guys understand that the physical world is just a product of the spiritual reality. So when we work out things up here, so then everything trickles down. The problem starts up here. So it's a big problem, at the source. So then it's going to come down and be serious problems at the bottom. So when we fix it at the source, so God willing, things should come through for us also. So that's the focus of Hisbodedut is talking to Hashem about how we feel far away from Him. We want to come closer.
Can I ask a question about it?
Sure.
I know I just came, but is Hisbodedut specifically that you got to go somewhere private, or it's just better, or what? Can I do it in my room?
You're right. We're going to go through each one of these details.
How to do it?
Right, exactly. So Rabbi Nachman says. So I'm going to answer that question in just a minute. The first detail Nachman says is that it should be an hour or more. So the Breslov tradition is that it's not all or nothing. An hour is a lot for a person to start with. We're not used to talking to Hashem for so long. We don't always have what to say, and sometimes we don't have so much time in the day. We're very busy. So these aren't excuses, but if we find that in our each one individually has to make a decision for ourselves. If we really feel like it's too much to do an hour or more, so then we 10 or 15 minutes is already an amazing accomplishment. And if we can do a little bit more, also we can break it up in a day. You can do 15 minutes and then 20 minutes, like that. It adds up. All these things. And obviously the more time we put in, the more we'll get out of it. And Rabbi Nachman says, even if you don't have what to say, he's going to speak about it over here. Even if we don't have what to say, just sit there, and think about Hashem. Have a ratzon, you have a desire. I want to talk to Hashem. I want to be close to Hashem. I want to get through all this shmutz that's in between me and HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So that's already an incredible step forward in really making this close connection. So you're asking about the place. So Nachman says Hisbodedut, the actual translation of Hisbodedut is self-isolation. So it is important to be alone somewhere. Now, so it could be, like Nachman says, it could be a room. It doesn't have to be a room in your house. It could be a room. It could be Ezras Nashim. Or it could be this shul, and there's nobody here at certain times of the day. The ideal, the best thing is to be able to go out into nature, even to a park like you have Gansag over here. You can go, find a place in Gansag where there's hardly anybody around. But just sit down, start talking to Hashem. We go out into nature. It completely changes our perspective on life. Especially when we live in big cities. Most Jews in this day and age, most people live in big cities, and we lose track of Hashem because we don't see Hashem's creation. We see man's creation. We see the cars. We see the buildings. We see, all the technology and everything. it's very hard to see Hashem in that. Whereas when you go out to a forest, to a field, you see the trees, you see the wind blowing, you see the skies. It's like, okay, there's a whole world out there that Hashem created, and this is the master of the universe that I was talking to. And even though he's so great, Rabbi Nachman tells me he's also my friend. This great master of the universe is also my friend, and I can talk to him. It helps us to clear out everything that we're going through. Just let go of all of our stress and all of our craziness. But at the end of the day, Yeshua, it's not, again, there's no all or nothing in Breslov. If you can't find a place to be alone, so there's other ways to do it. You can, even when you're walking down the street, nowadays you're not crazy if you're talking while you walk down the street.
You have earpods.
You have earpods?
Or you're just dumb crazy and it's okay.
Or you're just dumb crazy and it's also okay.
You're better off than most people if you're
you
just crazy.
You identify as a crazy person. And it's okay.
Right.
Well, by talking to yourself.
Yeah, so some people are a little bit inhibited about that. They care about that.
No, once you're talking to God, that's when it's a problem. You gotta be careful.
Very good. So being crazy is all right nowadays also. But if you feel a little inhibited about people think you're crazy, you have a little earpiece in, and then as normal as can be. So you keep walking down the street. Rabbi Nachman says you can put a Gemara, put a sefer in front of you. In shul, everybody thinks that you're learning and you're just talking to Hashem. Yeah, you can put a talis over your head. Rabbi Nachman says you're sleeping you have a room with your roommates at night. You can put your sheet over your head at night and just start talking to Hashem. There's a lot of ways to do it. The main thing is it's not all or nothing. However we can manage.
Right.
So these are the idea of Hitbodedut. And basically, to connect this a little bit more to what's on our hearts and on our minds right now, the Jewish people. Hitbodedut brings us to a place of what we call panemius. Brings us to a place of seeing and connecting to the deeper reality of life. Because a person could be a firm Jew, a person could follow the Torah and mitzvahs his whole life, and he could even learn a lot of Torah, spend his whole day involved in serving Hashem. But it can be a very external relationship. It can be very kind of robotic. Like I put the halacha book says that I'm supposed to put my tefillin on my arm like this, and then on my head like this, and then I'm supposed to say these prayers like this, and then I'm supposed to learn this Torah like this. It can be very robotic. It can be very external. Like we're not really connecting to the depth of what we're doing in Avodas Hashem. And all the more so when we're going about our life not serving Hashem, we're doing other things that are necessary, like working and sleeping and eating. So then we really lose track that Hashem exists in this place while I'm eating food. Yeah, Hashem is right there. There's Kedusha. There's godliness in these really yummy bakery ugiyot, right? There's incredible Kedusha right there. So how do we tap into this world of panemius, both in the physical aspect of life and in our Avodas Hashem? That when we're doing a mitzvah, we realize that we're aware of Hashem. We're doing this mitzvah. This mitzvah is for Kodesh Baruch Hu. It's not just to I need to check off my list of things that are necessary for me to do today, according to what the Mishnah Berurah says. No. Like right now, this mitzvah is giving Hashem nachas. It's going up. It's connected to Shema. It's not just an action I'm doing here on earth. This action here that I'm doing on earth is actually completely unified with the spiritual reality in the higher worlds. So how do we become aware of this on a constant daily basis? Is through Hitbodedut. Because through Hitbodedut we bring Hashem into our lives. Hashem is not just some theoretical thing that we think about once in a while. No, it's a person. I mean, it's a spiritual essence that we're connected to. On a daily basis, we have this conversation with him. We think about him all the time. He's our friend. You think about your good friend. If you have a really good friend, you probably think about him pretty frequently. Especially if you talk to him every single day for an hour. You have lunch together, you schmooze for an hour, and again, these brothers can be talking about sometimes we talk about light things with Hashem. We can say thank you to Hashem for certain things. Tell him what's going on in the world, and then if we're able to go deeper, so we go deeper, just like a really good friend. So when we establish this relationship with Hashem like this, so then it becomes real. We don't want Hashem to be in theory. We want Hashem to be real. We want Hashem to be real. So, what we're going through right now with what happened in Meron, I don't want to call it a specific thing. I don't want to call it a tragedy. I don't want to call it a catastrophe. I don't want any names, because I want us to think about it. I want us to be open-minded to think about it for, possibly in a different way than we've thought about it up until right now. Because what we see on the news and what we see in the pictures, in the videos, is we see the physical reality. People died. Yes, people died. And it's really hard. And we see pictures and it's very horrifying. It's very shocking. We're not used to seeing these things, especially nowadays. It's not. The Holocaust is already 80 years ago. Somewhat. And these types of things happen amongst the Jewish people. Is for our generation, this is like unheard of. And it's very easy for us to get sucked into the physical reality of what happened, just seeing, wow, these bodies are no longer living. And that's very painful for us. And what that can cause us is it brings down into depression, like we talked about before, questions on Hashem, like how could this happen, especially at such a time, at such a place. In Meron, the highest day and the highest time, right next to Rabbi Shimon, like what's going on over here, and this is very, very dangerous. This can totally destroy us. These questions, this depression, can just totally knock us out and finish us off. This is what the Sitra Achra wants. This is what he wants us to see. He wants us to see what's on the news. He doesn't want us to see the pneumius, the deeper meaning of what happened, because when we look at the deeper meaning of what really happened over here, there's incredible comfort and there's even incredible joy. And so, what basically the understanding, there's different ways to understand it. First of all, we understand that it's beyond understanding. Be'emes, what happens is beyond understanding. We can't really understand, the news reports want to explain what happened, like this person pushed that. Wait a minute. That's a very shallow physical understanding. The truest understanding of what happens is very, very far beyond this. And Rabbi Nachman says that we just have to accept certain things on faith. That there's certain things that are beyond understanding. That we can't just say, I know this, no, this is something that was an unbelievably powerful event in the world. We can't totally understand it. But we have to believe what the Tzaddikim reveal to us that HaKadosh Baruch Hu only acts with compassion and with chesed, with loving kindness. And somehow there was something good that happened here. We can't understand it. But HaKadosh Baruch Hu is Moli Rachman, he's Rachman Gedolim, Chassan Gedolim. He does incredible things to the world. We don't understand what's going on, but somehow Hashem, this is the Metzias of Hashem. He's good. He's good. He's full of compassion. This is who Hashem is. So if we can't understand it, okay. So we have to accept it. We can't understand it. That's the first thing. The second thing is that, nonetheless, I think we have to try to look for any sort of hint of understanding that we can find. And so for me, looking through Breslov Torah, I found an amazing way to see this event in a positive light. Rabbi Nachman says in Torah Samech Vov in the Ketemaran, he says that when a tzaddik is nifter, incredible thing happens. There's two parts of the neshama of a tzaddik. There's the part that's in Shemayim, there's the part that's down here on earth. And they're connected all the time. But when the tzaddik is alive, so that part that's in Shemayim, it's in Shemayim. It remains in Shemayim. The part that's on the earth is here on the earth. It's here. It functions inside of the goof of the tzaddik. The body of the tzaddik is functioning. Now what happens is when it's time for the tzaddik to be nifter, the part of the neshama in Shemayim comes down. And it's an incredible light, because that part of the neshama tzaddik is like Urein Soif Mamish. It's the source of all creation. It's the Chalakol Kamimal. It comes down, and it's revealed into the world, and it connects itself with the part of the neshama of the tzaddik that's here in this world, and they become united. But since that aspect of the higher aspect of the tzaddik neshama, it can't stay in this world for very long because it's such an incredible revelation of light, has to go back up. So it goes back up, and it takes the lower aspect of the tzaddik's neshama also up into Shemayim. And that's how a tzaddik passes away. And Rabbi Nachman explains that anybody who, the closer you are, let's say like this, the closer you are to that tzaddik at that time, the more you receive this incredible light that comes down. And this closeness can be a spiritual closeness, but it really, even more importantly, it's a physical closeness, meaning being right there at the time that the tzaddik is nifter. So then that person receives an incredible revelation of light from the higher worlds. Now, for most of us, what it translates into as an aliyah, we have a certain, we go up closer to Hashem, we get closer to Hashem. We have a certain inspiration. We find some sort of a spark in our soul that comes alive from this light, from the tzaddik Hashem that came down. And each one of us, according to our closest to that tzaddik, can experience a higher aliyah. But since it's not our time to be nifter, it's not our time to pass away, so then we stay in this world, and it's an incredibly good thing for us because we stay in this world and we reach a higher level. So, what happened in Meron, again, I don't really understand, it's beyond understanding, but just maybe, possibly, a hint to what happened was that there was neshamas, they were the highest neshamas, and they were ready for the ultimate tikkun. They were ready for the ultimate aliyah. They were able to go straight up with Rabbi Shimon to the highest place in Gan Eden. You guys understand what incredible tikkun this is? Rabbi Nachman has throughout Sichos Ran and all this story, he speaks about how a tzaddik is able to fix the neshamas of the dead. He fixes their souls. He gives them a tikkun that he couldn't give them while they were still alive. He gives them an unbelievable tikkun. He completely heals them of all of their suffering, everything, and brings them up to the highest place in Gan Eden. So, of course, for the families of, they have incredible suffering, and we have to sympathize with them, and it's difficult for us also, but we have to comfort ourselves with this idea that something good happened here. For these neshamas, something good happened here. They got an unbelievable tikkun right next to Rabbi Shimon. You have to believe in the kodesh b'tzadik. You believe in the kodesh Rabbi Shimon. There's nothing stam that happened. There was no mikra. There was no random occurrence. This expression by Chukoi says, Hashem says, don't treat everything that happens in the world like a random occurrence, a carry. It's just happened to be like this. Hashem says, no, this is everything that's happening. There's incredible things going on, especially in Meron, especially Allah Golemer. Rabbi Shimon is powerful. He's affecting. Is incredibly powerful in this world, especially in such a day, and especially in such a place. We have to believe that this was a tikkun. This was a tikkun. It was not a destruction. This was a tikkun. And I'll tell you, Rabbi Nisan David Kivak, Shlita. Somebody asked him shortly after this happened in Meron. They asked him, "What are we supposed to think about this?" So, again, he said, this is rachmi gedolim, chesed gedolim, this is incredible compassion, Hashem. We can't understand it, like I told you before. And they asked him, "So what are we supposed to do? Are we supposed to keep celebrating Lag BaOmer and keep dancing?" He said, "Rabbi Shimon is still dancing, so we should stop."
That's a really good question. Should we stop celebrating because of the death? So should we continue?
That's what most people were struggling with at that time. Was how are we supposed to deal with this day? And this is the answer. This is the answer that even though again it's not easy for us to digest these things, but when we connect to the Pnimis, what we're doing as brothers, and we strengthen our emunah in this inner reality, this deeper dimension of everything that's going on in the universe. So then, it's not this doesn't have to destroy us. This doesn't have to throw us into depression and brokenness.
So why are we ever sad if someone dies? Unless he was like Hitler.
Right. So I'll tell you the truth that the people
I'm sure
that
there was someone who was sad about him too. Someone evil, but
Right. So a person, the people who are supposed to be sad when somebody dies are the family members.
Why? Because they experience loss to themselves.
Exactly.
It's like
the process of mourning is not a tikkun for the people who are still living. it's a tikkun. It's not a tikkun for the neshama of the person who's nifted. Their neshama has gone up to Shemayim. The tikkun for that neshama is by saying kaddish and davening for them and doing mitzvahs and all these things. The actual mitzvahs of mourning is a tikkun for the people who are left behind, that they feel this loss.
Really?
They feel this loss.
So it's to make them feel better
It's
about
to help,
the
it's to help
absence
them to heal. It's to help them to recover from this loss, and that's important because we have this loss, and it's true that in this case, that the people who lost their loved ones certainly need to go through this process of mourning.
because they lost something.
Because they really lost. And it's also now, it is a loss for Klal Yisrael. I don't want you to get confused. This is a loss for all of Klal Yisrael. These Yidden were important to everybody.
And maybe it's a gain. Not to like speak on behalf of the people that affected, but I mean like according to what you're saying, we can't really know either way.
No, I'm saying we know in a deeper reality that this was a positive thing for these neshamas. It was a tikkun for the neshamas. We know that for sure. Now, it's difficult for us because we feel the loss and we feel like we also want to mourn, but that's not necessarily a healthy reaction because that can throw us into depression and it can really mess us up. It's much better for us to comfort ourselves and to connect the deeper meaning of what happened and to try to see the positive light, not like the news stations and not like the goyim and not,
And what if where do we draw the line? Like, what if like Zach is saying that it's like Hitler? Like,
okay,
can we assume he's bad? Because I would love to do
first
that.
First of all, we're talking about Jewish Hashemas right now.
Okay.
Jewish Hashemas, they get their tikkun through death. A goy, it doesn't necessarily help him to die.
Okay, fine. A Jew. What if a Jew is like not doing what he should do and then he dies?
So that's also a tikkun for him. It says the sages say that death is a kapara, is an atonement for a person's sins.
So you're always good if you die, unless you kill yourself, I guess.
Yeah.
Or maybe then, I don't know.
I mean, even if you die, though, you still likely go to
Yeah,
Kara.
you could have to suffer after your death, but at the end of the day, it's the
Still
suffering
good.
is the beginning of the tikkun also.
Okay.
But I think with these neshamas, you guys, there's no question about it. Like these neshamas went straight up. There's no suffering in my mind. There's the neshamas that died in this way, they went straight up. Rabbi Shimon just took them straight up. There was no suffering. They went straight to a very high, beautiful place in the next world. So again, just to tie this back in, how do we connect to such reality? The whole world is focused on physical things. We have to focus on the pneumius, the spirituality, which is through Hitbodedut. Should bless us to see amazing, amazing comfort, reasons to celebrate and good news in all of Israel.
Amen.
And we should find a real comfort through this close relationship with Hashem.
Amen.